This conference will now be recorded.
The council meeting of April 6, 2021 will now please come to order. Due to this meeting being a virtual meeting, council is asking if anyone who would like to address council who is participating through the computer, please use the chat feature now to let Clerk Massarolo know you have a comment, and you will be called on during the comment portion of this meeting. If you are calling on the phone or do not have access to the chat feature, you will be given directions during the public comment portion of our meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Broussard.
Present.
Mr. Glassburn.
Here.
Ms. Heeman.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Limpert. Mr. Schuman.
Present.
Ms. Williamson.
Here.
If there are no additions or corrections, the council meeting minutes of March 16th, 2021, and the special council meeting minutes of March 23rd, 2021 are approved as written. The following legislation will be considered for suspension of the rules this evening. On second reading, resolutions 2021-22 and 2021-23. And on first reading, resolution 2021-29. In the absence of the mayor, is there a report this evening? Seeing none, Law Director Garreau, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam President. No report this evening.
Thank you. Finance Director Kopfer, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair. At the end of last week, we received notice from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, which is commonly referred to as GFOA, has awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of North Olmsted for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2019. The report's been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by our government and management. And this was the 20th year that we have received this award. The first year the city produced a comprehensive annual financial report was in 1999. So we are keeping up our high standards, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Kopfer. Moving into council committee reports. The Committee of the Whole met at 8:41 p.m. on Tuesday, March 30th. Present were all members of council, Director of Finance Kopfer, Director of Law Garreau, Director of Human Resources Gallo, and Director of Planning and Community Development Lieber, and our guests. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the potential return to council chambers. The clerk let council know the video streaming is up and running, but he'd like to do a couple additional tests to confirm that it works. Council discussed the ability to continue meeting virtually via state law until May 31st of this year. There was discussion about the safety measures that would be in place for those attending the meetings. The majority of council preferred to wait until the state order expires before returning. Another committee of the whole will be called in the near future to follow up. And the meeting concluded at 9:22 p.m. And that concludes my report. Councilman Broussard, Chairman of the Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee met this evening, April 6, 2021, beginning at 7:10 p.m. Present were committee members Brossard and Williamson, Council President Jones, Council members Kelly, Glassburn, Schuman, and Heeman, Police Chief Wagner, Director Garreau, and guests. We met this evening to discuss 2 new liquor permits. The first of which is liquor permit number 4130741, which is to be issued to Imperial Garden 888 Incorporated, located at 24201 Lorraine Road in North Olmsted. No objection from the police department. Motion was made by myself to not object and to approve to all of council. It was seconded by Councilwoman Williamson, and that one passed by a vote of 2-0. We then discussed the second liquor permit, which is, by the way, I need to make a correction during my report. My astute colleague, Mr. Kelly, pointed out that I inadvertently listed the same permit number for both applicants. So we'll correct that during the report. The correct permit number for the second one is 6458211. That will be issued to North Olmsted BWW LLC, which is DBA Buffalo Wild Wings, located at 26774 Lorraine Road in North Olmsted. Again, no objection from the police department. Motion was made by myself to not object and to approve to all of council, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. That passed by a vote of 2-0. At this time, I'll make a motion to not object. We'll start back with the first one. To not object to liquor permit number 4130741, which is Imperial Garden 888 Incorporated, located at 24201 Lorraine Road in North Olmsted, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 4130741 made by Councilman Brossard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brossard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to the second applicant, liquor permit number 6458211 to be issued to North Olmsted BWW LLC, which is doing business as Buffalo Wild Wings, located at 26774 Lorraine Road. I'll make a motion to not object and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit 6458211 made by Councilman Brossard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brossard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. The meeting concluded at 7:14 p.m. and that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williamson, Chairwoman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do this evening, Madam President. Thank you. The Building, Zoning, and Development Committee met on March 23rd, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. Present were committee members Williamson, Limpert, and Schuman, council members Glassburn, Heeman, Kelly, Brossard, our council president, the mayor, law director, human resources director, planning director, building commissioner, and guests. On the agenda was a continuation of our previous discussion in January on ordinance number 2020-145, which reads, an ordinance providing for the amendment of Chapter 1135, 1 and 2 family residence districts of the codified ordinances of the City of North Olmsted. This proposed ordinance would make a number of changes to Chapter 1135, including signage for home occupation, storage buildings and accessory structures, parking of recreational vehicles on residential property, prohibited accessory structures, and temporary ramps. After lengthy discussions by the committee and council, it was recommended that the following changes be made. To allow parking of recreational vehicles on driveways not more than 7 consecutive days and not more than 28 days in a calendar year. To clarify storage requirements for recreational vehicles. To change the window for removal of temporary ramps to 90 days. To amend Section 1135.07 to actually retain the original language in this section as it pertains to entrance features such as platforms, landings, steps, stoops, and other open features, and to allow AC units and generators to be located in rear and side yards subject to setbacks. The committee voted 3-0 to recommend approval of Ordinance 2020-145 to all of council with these changes. So, Madam President, at this time, I would like to make a motion to amend Ordinance 2020-145 as follows. Amend Section 1135.02H1 to allow parking of recreational vehicles on driveways not more than 7 consecutive days and not more than 28 days in a calendar year. Amend Section 1135.02, Section H2 to clarify storage requirements for recreational vehicles. Amend Section 1135.02L4 to change the window for removal of temporary ramps to 90 days. Amend 1135.07A to retain the original language in this section as it pertains to entrance features such as platforms, landings, etc. And amend Section 1135.07C to allow for AC units and generators to be located in rear and side yards subject to setbacks. And I ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend Ordinance 2020-145 made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Bassard,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman.
Ordinance 2020-145 is amended with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Schuman, Chairman of the Finance Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly, Vice Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. Please bear with me. Councilman Limper sent me a lengthy report. The Streets and Transportation Committee met on March 30th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Present, Council President Jones, committee members Limpert, Kelly, and Glassburn, council members Heeman, Broussard, Schuman, and Williamson, the mayor, the law director, the finance director, the HR director, and the planning director and guests. The Streets and Transportation Committee met on March 30th at 7 p.m. with the attendance described above. Discussed was Resolution 2020-111, the Clegg Road ODOT Safety Funding Resolution. The mayor made a note of the importance of this project and that the ability to leverage the safety grant would allow safety improvements to Clegg. Mott McDonald presented and stated that ODOT is currently not accepting the safety grants. Any information they receive would not be received until 2025 and potentially further. They are working through exceptions. If the city were to apply, this money would only be available for construction and not design services. Currently, the proposal requires a 10% local match for this funding source. At the end of last year, when we could have applied, we were funding at 100%. There was a record number funded last year with safety funding, and due to uncertain upcoming revenue streams, and refresh the program a bit and focus on emerging cash trends and serious and fatal crashes, and focus on pedestrians and cyclists. The cost estimate of a third lane option, which some members of the committee inquired about, was estimated at approximately $8 million, which would include 150 feet of Westlake Road, where the border is differing on each side of the street. Mott McDonald reiterated their position that we had a strong case for the safety grant based on 50% of accidents were at Maple Ridge intersection, and that this improvement would improve efficiency by 20% at the largest bottleneck of the road. Second intersection of Clegg Road provides improvements of safety to include the improvements of Clegg Park, which would optimize the city's expenses for the project to the areas of the most need of the road. The planning director also noted that she reviewed other grant sources and received a fairly comprehensive list from NOACA, and the county evaluated the safety project and widening. Both agencies focused on pavement protection and rehab. Anything such as large-scale widening would need to be part of their long-range plan, of which Clegg is not. The planning director noted that comparing Sprague Road as a legacy project that they finally did, but did not look to undertake other major infrastructure plan and focus on disadvantaged communities. Both agencies did, however, note that any timing mismatch between resurfacing and the safety project could be synced with the timelines, and we would be able to move forward earlier if selected for funding and another community did not move forward. Mr. Glassburn noted that this street had not been improved for a decade, felt that there needed to be a different plan to rebuild the street, and noted that the safety grant was less important than other items on the agenda. Mr. Lippert noted that as a member of the safety committee, he felt that this was valuable of the safety of Clegg Road, and he would like to hold this in committee and have follow-on vote in 2 weeks to move this forward to a council vote. The motion to hold in committee passed by a vote of 3-0, and the meeting ended at 7:25. Madam President, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Heeman, Chairwoman of the Environmental Control Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Environmental Control Committee met on Tuesday, March 30th, 2021 to discuss resolutions 2021-22 and 2021-23. The meeting was called to order at 7:35 p.m. Present were committee members Heeman, Glassburn, and Williamson, Council President Jones, and all of council, the mayor, law director, finance director, city engineer, and police chief Wagner, and guests. First on the agenda was 2021-23, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase one Kubota mini excavator and trailer from Akron Tractor and Equipment at a cost of $102,596 through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all contract documents and declaring an emergency. The mayor explained that the mini excavator is the same as the one that is currently being used by the wastewater treatment plant, and that another one is needed for use by the stormwater crew. Ms. Heeman made a motion to recommend the purchase to all of council, seconded by Mr. Glassburn. That motion passed 3-0. Next on the agenda was 2021-22, a resolution authorizing the Department of Public Service to solicit quotes for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the 2021 Catch Basin Rehabilitation Program, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best contractor. Chairwoman Heeman asked the mayor to explain who will oversee the bid solicitation, since the city is absent a service director, and who specifically is now deemed the responsible person as, quote, the Department of Public Service, end quote, and how will that process work? The mayor explained that one of our long-time employees it will be the person responsible for that project. He's a longtime member of the service crew and a foreman. Chairwoman Heeman then asked the mayor to explain what exactly is the 2021 Catch Basin Program, because we had not discussed it in detail prior to this legislation, although it was included in the budget and mentioned briefly. The mayor explained that he was interested in replacing some of the city's brick catch basins with concrete because some were damaged and that concrete would be a better material for their replacement. The mayor did not specifically identify which catch basins are in need of repair, but suggested that that would be part of the quoting process and that the project would be ongoing from year to year, with the first expenditure to be not more than $50,000. The finance director explained that the money would be coming out of the general funds portion of the budget and not a specific /project fund. Chairwoman Heeman made a motion to amend 2021-22 so that the bid quoting process would proceed, but that the specifics of each quote would be presented to council for approval. The motion was seconded by Mr. Glassburn. The motion passed unanimously. Ms. Heeman then made a motion to recommend 2021-22 to all of council as amended. The motion passed 3-0 and the meeting concluded at 7:48 p.m. Also, Madam President, there in caucus this evening, this was discussed since the law director had presented all of council with the amended 2021-22. And that meeting, we discussed the amendments, and the committee meeting started at 7:16 p.m. And Ms. Heeman read the amendments, asked for questions, seeing none, made a motion to recommend 2021-22 as amended with suspension, seconded by Mr. Glassburn. That motion passed 3-0. The meeting concluded at 7:19 p.m. And at this time, Madam President, I would like to make a motion to amend 2021-22 and ask for a second.
Second.
Excuse me, Law Director, do I need to read each of the amendments?
No, you don't need to make the amendment. You don't need to reread them. You just gave the report out, so and that's sufficient. And it's amended as it currently reads on the agenda.
Thank you.
Motion to amend Resolution 2021-22 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Heeman? Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
No, with comment. I really don't understand why we are changing the long-held process for purchases. I've never heard any question that anything untoward or any ineptitude regarding the Board of Control. And I'm very concerned that this could delay the process. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson? Ms. Williamson? Sorry, Ms. Williamson, I can't hear you. Yes, okay. Mr. Broussard?
No.
Resolution 2021-22 is amended with a vote of 4-2. Councilman Glassburn, Chairman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. I have two. The Intergovernmental Relations Committee met on March 30th to discuss 2021-21 and 2021-24. Present were all of council, the mayor, the finance director, the law director, Chief Wagner, and guests. The first item that was discussed was 2021-24, which concerned North Olmsted taking on dispatch and prisoner duties for Fairview Park. Mayor Kennedy indicated that both of these services, despite being in separate legislation, would need to go together, and that council should approve both due to that. Chief Wagner gave some details to that to both of the proposals. Councilman Limpert thought it was a good idea to move forward. Council President Jones asked which services would be included, which we got more information from Detective Fiorito on that. Councilman Kelly asked about the rates for and overnights for the prison side of the operation. Councilman Williamson asked about whether our officers would be responsible for transportation. Councilwoman Williamson also asked about reimbursements for medical care. And Councilman Glassburn asked about costs, to which the council received additional information after the meeting. The item was held in committee 3-0 at that time. Then we moved on to 2020-21, which concerned legislation for electronic meetings. Council President Jones introduced the topic once again, which had been reviewed in a previous committee meeting. Councilwoman Heeman indicated that she would like to see all participating elected officials have to be in the city of North Olmsted if they were in an electronic meeting. Councilman Limpert asked about the provisions of audio issues, as we have experienced tonight. Law Director Gros indicated that the charter would require that there must be vocal affirmations for votes, and that's something we would have to work with in any legislation. The Law Director, Councilman Glassburn, asked the Law Director if there might be another remedy to allow a council member to vote as long as it didn't change the outcome. Councilman Lippert agreed. The Law Director said he would look into that as a potential issue. There was some disagreement between different members about the Councilwoman Heeman's proposal to stay in, to require elected officials to be in North Olmsted during the electronic meeting. Specifically, Councilman Broussard was not in favor. Councilman Williamson expressed a concern of if there was an emergency that it might cause members to be out of the city to actually participate. The consensus seemed to be that the residency issue should be addressed in the council rules as opposed to in the legislation, which impacts not just the council, but boards and commissions. With that, it was held in committee 3-0, and the meeting closed at 8:41 p.m. on the 30th. Then this evening, April 6th, the Intergovernmental Relations Committee met again at 7:30. Present were committee members Glassburn, Schuman, and Heeman, as well as President Jones, council members Broussard, Kelly, Williamson, Law Director, Finance Director, HR Director, Police Chief, and guests. Discussed again was 2021-24, which concerned, as drafted, both the prisoner and dispatch services for Fairview Park. Councilman Glassburn indicated there was new information about the cost of prisoners, and indicated that the cost of the prisoners would exceed the rate that was paid by Fairview Park, but that would be offset by the dispatch rates. Chief Wagner reiterated the benefit of both of the provisions. Councilwoman Heeman was okay with the contract or with the two proposals in aggregate together. Councilwoman Williamson asked about whether there was going to be any additional liabilities for the city, which Law Director Gros indicated that there would be reciprocal insurance agreements. And so the legislation was moved to be recommended to council with the amendment that 2021-24 would include only the dispatch services and that the prisoner services would be in a different piece of legislation. That was agreed to 3-0, and the committee closed at 7:39. And at this time, I would move to amend 2021-24 to precisely break up those two pieces of legislation as I have stated, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend Resolution 2021-24, made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson, Ms. Williamson? I've got that as a yes. And Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-24 is amended with a vote of 6-0. Councilman Kelly, Chairman of the Recreation, Public Parks and Buildings Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
No, Madam President.
Thank you for joining our meeting tonight. At this time, council will hear comments from the public. Please remember to state your full name and address for our clerk. If you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state what city you are from. We will start with those who have notified us via chat. Anyone who has not notified us via the chat feature who would like to comment, please unmute your phone and start your comment when prompted. Clerk Massarillo, has anyone notified you that they would like to comment this evening?
No, Madam President.
At this time, if there's anyone on the computer or the phone who would like to comment, please address council now. Seeing no comments from the audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on third reading. Resolution 2021-19, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution dispensing with the RFP process and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for additional services from Records Imaging Service, Inc. for the purpose of scanning and indexing records for the mayor's court.
Madam President,
Councilman Broussard.
I move to adopt Resolution 2021-19 and ask for a second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-19 made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Resolution 2020-21-19 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Legislation on second reading. Ordinance 2020-145, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. An ordinance providing for the amendment of Chapter 1135, 1 and 2 family residence districts of the codified ordinances of the City of North Olmsted as amended. Resolution 2021-22, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the Department of Public Service to solicit quotes for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the 2021 Catch Basin Rehabilitation Program and declaring an emergency as amended.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman.
this time I'd like to request suspension of the rules for 2021-22. This was heard in committee twice, discussed at caucus, and I believe that its swift movement forward would be in the best interest of the city. And ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman? Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding Resolution 2021-22, please do so now.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman?
seeing and hearing none, I'd like to move for the adoption of 2021-22 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-22 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-22 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Resolution 2021-23, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase one Kubota mini excavator and trailer from Akron Tractor and Equipment at a cost of $102,596 through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all contract documents and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman?
I'd like to make a motion to request suspension of the rules requiring 3 readings. This was heard in committee, reported on this evening, discussed in caucus as well. And I believe that to purchase this in advance of when we intend to use it is in the best interest of the city so that we are prepared. And ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding Resolution 2021-23, please do so now.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman?
seeing and hearing none, I move to adopt 2021-23 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-23 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-23 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Resolution 2021-24, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the City of Fairview Park, Ohio, for the purpose of providing the City of Fairview Park with police dispatch services as amended. Legislation on first reading. Resolution 2021-25. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the City of Fairview Park, Ohio, for the purpose of providing the City of Fairview Park jail services for housing of Fairview Park prisoners in the North Olmsted City Jail.
On behalf of the mayor, I introduce and place on first reading.
Ordinance 2021-26, An ordinance amending Section 3 of Ordinance Number 2002-103, as later amended by Ordinance Numbers 2002-154, 2008-155, 2013-98, and 2017-59, which collectively established fees and charges for emergency medical services rendered by the City of North Olmsted Fire Department in order to increase fees and charges currently charged.
On behalf of the mayor, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2021-27, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a donation of a LifePak 15 monitor defibrillator from University Hospital Systems, St. John West Shore Hospital for use by the City of North Olmsted Division of Fire.
On behalf of the mayor, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2021-28, a resolution authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide for plumbing and related improvements at the North Olmsted Police Station as detailed in specifications on file with the Service Department, and further authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder.
On behalf of the mayor, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2021-29, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase a V65 street sweeper for a cost of $269,525 from MTech Company through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to effectuate such purchase and declaring an emergency.
On behalf of the mayor, I introduce and place on first reading.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman.
I'd like to request suspension of the rules requiring 3 readings on 2021-29. This was discussed during our budget meetings at length, and in fact, our street sweeper is broken, and we do in fact need this for the safety of our residents. And ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Heeman? Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding Resolution 2021-29, please do so now.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman.
seeing and hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt 2021-29 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-29 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-29 is adopted with a vote of 6-0. Moving into scheduling our committee meetings for next Tuesday, April 13th. Councilman Broussard.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll schedule a Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee meeting on Tuesday, April 13th, beginning at 7 p.m., running till approximately 7:20 p.m. We're going to discuss Ordinance 2021-26 and Resolutions 2021-27 and 28. I'd like to request that the mayor and or his designees for each of these 3 pieces of legislation be present. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Glassburn.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to schedule the Intergovernmental Relations Committee to meet Tuesday, April 13th at 7:20 p.m. to discuss 2021-21 on electronic meetings and 2021-25 on the Fairview Park prisoners legislation. Request the mayor's designee and the law director for those legislation.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilman Limpert?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to excuse the absence of Councilman Limpert from tonight's meeting made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Councilman Limpert has been excused from tonight's meeting with a vote of 6-0. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this meeting of April 6th, 2021 is adjourned at 8:46 p.m.